You're listening to Let's Stay Together Anime Break, the sub-series of Let's Stay Together where we talk about Fruits Basket 2019. I'm Ellen.
And I'm Kayla.
And today we're discussing episode 11, which is called This is a Wonderful Inn. We're going to do our summary, spoiler-free discussion, and then spoilery discussion. So I'm just going to jump into it. I don't think we have any announcements.
I have a very important question before we start.
Okay. Is it when the snow melts? What does it become?
No.
Okay.
Are you going to be voice acting the hostess again this
You're
time?
damn fucking right I am. Did I do that in the podcast? I forget. Probably, or in the earlier episode? Probably.
I'm pretty sure you did.
I apologize to the world! Yeah, for sure. As soon as I heard her voice, I was like, I'm ready. So get ready. So this episode covers the same content with some... It's essentially the same content, actually. I was surprised, again, how close it was. There are a couple of minor changes and additions, but it's the same content as chapters 17 and 18 of the manga. So I thought it was a good episode. All right. The episode opens with the class. I think the bell rings. I didn't write it down. Final exams are done. And Tohru stretches out on the table. And she's all relaxed. Yuki comes over and asks how it went. And Tohru says it went well. And her friends Uo and Hana come over and congratulate her as well. And she says that she could answer more questions than she normally can, which was good. She says that Yuki helped her study. And so she thanks him. And Yuki says it's not a big deal while surrounded by shoujo sparkles. In the foreground, the Yuki fangirls all freak out. And they're like, Yuki's smiling so cheerfully. They're like, why are they so close? While Hana stares them down from far away and I guess like zaps them. You can see a little lightning bolt by her head or whatever. Like maybe she's trying to do something with her denpa to scare them off, but it's not clear. One of the students, it might be one of Kyo's friends, I can't tell, but it's one of the other guys in their class, asks Hana, I bet you do great at tests because of your denpa or whatever. How'd your midterms go? Let's see, Hana says. I had to take supplemental lessons every day. The school called my parents. Yes, I remember Mother was crying. And the kid is like, what about your waves? And she's like, well, the logical conclusion is that I'm so dumb that my powers can't make up for it. Which is... At least that's what the subtitle said. Don't worry, Uo says, looking over at Kyo. You won't be the dumbest one in the room. Pointedly making fun of him. He's like, hey, you better not be talking about me. They all tease Kyo for a while, and then Tohru comments that Kyo has been holed up in his room studying, and Yuki is like, so it seems. Thinking of what he looks like studying makes me smile, she thinks. From outside the door, the teacher calls out to Tohru, who comes over. We see their conversation, but we can't hear it. Tohru looks surprised, and then bows, and the teacher waves her hand, kind of like waves off whatever they were talking about, like it's not a big deal. Tohru comes back, and Yuki asks what's wrong, and Tohru says, I just have to work harder at my part-time job. And then she says, swab, part-time job. At least that's what was in the subtitle. Did you watch the dub?
Yeah, in the dub she said, swab, that's my job.
When I saw it, I cackled out loud.
It's also cute.
It was cute. Or as she says in the Japanese, or the translation, or not the translation, the dialogue that we know from before and know and love, Faito Baito. Which is so great. But I love swab, part-time job.
Yeah.
Or like swab, that's my job. It's pretty great. From there, we cut into the theme song. We cut to Tohru working later that night. She's like cleaning a table and Momiji is helping her clean windows. And Tohru says that soon a term will be starting after their spring break. Time flies, she says. And Momiji's like, yeah, it sure does. It's very cute. And he says that he'll be coming to Shigure's house with her today. Because he has a little present for her, but he's going to keep it a secret until they get there. And she's, of course, excited about it. When they get home, Momiji rolls in and slides open the doors with both hands and is like, Guten Abend, as enthusiastically as he possibly can be at night, which is great. Shigure and Yuki welcome them home, and Momiji says he's never been to Shigure's house. Kyo appears then, having come from the bath, and he's like, oh, the annoying brat is here. Momiji's just like, you're out of the bath or something, which of course annoys Kyo, who then noogies his head, which was really funny.
And the dub, he's like, oh, did the bath make you grumpy, kitty? Or something like that. It was cute. He's like way more needling Kyo directly in the dub.
Nice. That's good, because the sentence was kind of weird to me. I can't remember what it said. It was just like, why is this annoying? But anyway, yeah. He's just like, hey, you're out of the bath or something. But whatever. I mean, Kyo is just annoyed that he's there in the first place anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. Yeah. At the table, Michi's having a snack, and Shigure is like, did you tell them why you're staying over tonight? Not yet, Momiji says. First, I have a question for Tohru. What day is it tomorrow? And Tohru is like, the 14th? Bingo, he says. I think in the Japanese sound effect he made was like bing bong or something, which was really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow is White Day, so I'm giving you a trip to a hot spring. And Tohru is like, Momiji stands up and he says, I'll name it Heart of a Traveler, me and Toru's leisurely hot spring adventure. Shigure is like, you don't have to name it. Which is like the same joke from the manga, but it was also really good.
Yeah.
I like how...
Another good title.
Yeah. Wasn't it Steamy Onsen Heartful Tour or something in the other one? So, me and Toru's leisurely hot spring adventure.
I like that's got a title and a subtitle this time too.
Yeah.
Heart of a Traveler.
Heart of a Traveler. It was, yeah, it does. It's pretty great. The onsen, it turns out the onsen they'll go to is one run by the Somas. That's what Yuki asks. Meanwhile, Tohru freaks out though, and she says an onsen's expensive, and she's going to be going without her mom. And Shigure is like, it's not Paris. Momiji hops over to her and is like, he's right. And if you're happy, your mom will be happy for you. Unless you don't like it. I do, she says, and she wipes a little tear away from her eye and says, I'm happy. Then he hops over to Kyo and Yuki, saying they'll come too, and Kyo is like, where do you get off deciding that? Of course, because he doesn't give a shit. Yuki says that he'll go, which makes Tohru happy and makes Kyo want to go even less. Shigure interrupts the fun to be embarrassing and says that Toru's grandfather called. Apparently, Tohru is behind on her payments for her school trip. He says that her grandfather offered to pay for it, but of course, Tohru won't have it. Last month, a lot happened, she says, but I can pay for it with my work from this month. They realize that's what they were talking about at school earlier. But you work all the time, Shigure says, so why was last month? And then he freezes because they realize that it was the Valentine's chocolate. Kyo, Yuki, and Shigure all realize at the same time that it was Valentine's chocolate that cost her that much money. Where are you going on your trip? Momiji asks casually, and she says that she doesn't know.
Yeah, there's like this big dramatic pause with all the other characters, except Momiji who's just casually sitting there.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what's up? Yeah, exactly. He doesn't notice at all. You id, Kyo says. And then he manages to calm down, and he's like, the bath, you go. And Tohru's like, oh, okay, and like takes off and goes to the bath. Yeah.
Glad they kept his rage meter.
Yes, it was fantastic. Once Tohru is gone, Shigure is like, good boy, you controlled your rage. And then they discuss how, of course, the reasons she missed her payment for the school trip is because she paid for the chocolate. And they're like, how did we miss it? And then Kyo goes on a long rant about how Tohru smiles and hides her feelings, which is, how are they supposed to know? He slams his fist on the table. It's like a really loud slam too. And like the glass kind of jumps, I think. He's very disgruntled about her being so nice to them. He says, what's the point of all the obligation chocolate if it makes life worse for her? She's an idiot. She'll be way in the hole someday. Did they say anything about calling it obligation chocolate in the
he said something like the chocolate you felt obligated to give us or something. Yeah.
There's a specific word. He uses the word giri choco or whatever, which is like a specific word for chocolate that you give to people who are, you know how we talked about in our manga episode that you give chocolate people for Valentine's Day. There's like chocolate that you choose to give to people, and then there's what's called giri choco, which is like chocolate that you give to people who you are like maybe the men in your life who there's a social obligation to give them chocolate. So yeah, It's like a specific word though that he says. Anyway, that's just a side note. She's an idiot. She'll be way in the hole someday, he says. Hey, so we had a class meeting yesterday, Momiji says, cutting in, almost sounding like he's completely ignoring what they're talking about. He says that a girl brought a book of short stories. It was called Funny Stories, I think, on the title, in what we see in the background while he's talking, including one called The Most Idiot Traveler in the World. And he tells the story. There once was an idiot traveler who went on a trip and got tricked everywhere she went, getting swindled out of clothes, money, or shoes. And we see this really charming illustration. I don't know how to describe the style.
It's kind of like watercolor meets paper cut.
Yeah.
Style. Yeah.
There's a lot of texture. And the colors are really bright.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. It was an interesting style.
Yeah, I liked the style. I like, I guess we can talk about it at the end.
Okay. I'll finish the story of the Foolish Traveler. Or, like, it's called, in the manga, it was translated originally as The Very Foolish Traveler. Or in this case, The Most Idiot Traveler in the World. At least that was what was in the subtitle of the one that I watched. The traveler got swindled out of all her clothes and shoes and stuff everywhere she went. She started weeping every time she gave someone something. Someone who swindled her. She would start crying and say, I wish you happiness. Eventually her clothes were gone, and she wandered into the woods naked. The demons in the woods wanted to eat her, so they tricked her too. She would give them like an arm or a leg until all that was left was just a head, and she gave the very last demon her eyes. "Here's a gift in return," the last demon said, but it too was a lie. It was just a piece of paper with the word idiot written on it. The traveler wept and said, "Thank you so much. This is the first gift I've ever received. I'm so happy." And then the traveler died. Everyone in the class, this is the end of the story. So Momiji says that everyone in the class laughed and said it was dumb. Momiji says that he closed his eyes and thought about the traveler. What a lovely person, he thought. It's a waste of time to think about life getting harder. The traveler didn't think about that. Even if other people think that makes her an idiot, I don't. If other people think it's worth tricking her, I wouldn't. I would just want to make sure that she's happy for real. He asked what Kyo and Yuki think. When you close your eyes, what do you think? They imagined Tohru making the chocolate, which was also really cute. That was an addition, I think. Like, they kind of think about her. I guess that maybe it was her making the chocolate. Anyway, whatever. So they imagined Tohru making the chocolate. I think what is what it says in the subtitle. Do you know what they said in the dub?
I think it said something like, "I would think she was," and then like trailed off there or something.
Okay. So it's just as
I think
weird.
it's meant to be like them thinking like, what a lovely person, same as Momiji said he thought, but
yeah, that makes sense. It's a little vague. Anyway, it kind of trails off. So we cut to the next morning. Tohru is doing the laundry on the balcony, and Kyo appears and says he'll go. He didn't get her a return gift for her, so his gift will be to put up with Yuki. Although maybe she's fine with him not going. But instead of not acknowledging that or whatever, Tohru like bounds over to him. She like runs over, still holding the sheet, clasped in her hand. She says, "Not at all. I'll definitely have more fun with you there. Thank you. I'm so happy. Thank you." And then
I really like the little transition where like it's like Kyo's facing the camera and Toru's facing away, and he's all like, "Unless you don't care about that or whatever."
Yeah.
And then like it just like lights up, and like Toru like lights up and casts him in shadow because she's so happy.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That it was really, the animation is like perfect. And it's like in terms of like it being super emotional, and she's like over the top happy, which is really great. And then Kyo is like, "You," and then he's like, "What am I gonna do with you?" In the shoulder sparkly corner of the room. "Kyo's making hard eyes this morning," Momiji says, teasing him, and he's like, "I am not." Yuki also kind of appears groggily and asks what's going on, and Tohru says that Kyo will come. Well, what can you do? Yuki thinks, or says, actually. Yuki says. So we quickly cut to outside of the onsen, so we see the bus, and the bus drives off, and that's like the transition for them getting dropped off. And Tohru says that she feels like she's become a princess. Sorry, are we going to say something?
I just think it's like kicking him off the bus and just driving off really fast. Like, "Bye, guys."
It kind of was like that. It was like, later. Here you're in the middle of nowhere. But it's funny. She's like, I feel like such a princess. But it's like, you just took a bus to like the middle of nowhere. Like, anyway. So Toru's sister feels like she's become a princess. From the door to the inn, they hear a, "Whoa, welcome to the inn," as a terrifying hostess leans against the door to greet them. Toru screams. Momichi's like, "Meisho-san!" And Yuki's like, "It's pronounced Okami," which is really funny. This is the joke that took us a long time to discuss previously, which is just a pun on the word Okami. Like, Momiji basically pronounces it wrong.
Yeah, and they translated it as him saying properness instead of proprietress this time.
Which is nice. That makes more sense, too. She's my concubine. I think it's said in the first one. "Please make yourselves at home," she says, and takes them inside. Inside, they've all taken off their shoes, and the hostess shows them around, and then she apologizes for startling them at the door, which is good. She isn't speaking in a normal voice now. Momiji explains that she's also a Soma. Tohru wonders if the hostess knows about the zodiac, and then she comments on how kind Tohru is. So all this is while they're walking to their rooms. She also asks after Shigure, who isn't coming because Yuki explains that he has 2 books due. She takes them to the boys' room first, and then Kyo complains about having to share a room with Yuki. And Momiji is like, "Oh, you just want to share a room with Tohru?" And Yuki is like, "Disgusting." And then the hostess freaks out and is like, "Kyo-chan, even if you are the cat I believed you were a good boy, when did you become such a lascivious child? How frightful." And he's like, "You're the frightful one." And then she apologizes to the world for his lasciviousness. This time I said lascivious properly. Are you proud of me? I feel like I'm growing as a person. Later in their room, Kyo is like, it's finally quiet. Momiji suggests that they go for a bath, and he says to Tohru, let's go together. And she's like, okay. And then Yuki and Kyo are like, no. And then Kyo gets up and noogies him again and is like, you're the most lascivious of all.
And the dub was something like, you're the one having bad thoughts or
yeah.
something.
Very good. I noticed that in the subtitle they use the word lascivious specifically again, and I was like, oh god, I'm now going to say this again. Anyway, it's fine.
I was wondering that before I started. I was like, I wonder if they're going to use lascivious again.
Did you really?
Yes.
Good. Well, they did. It's living up. The series is really living up to our expectations. So Tohru thinks it's okay because Momiji is still young, and Kyo and her and Momiji are kind of arguing in the background. And while they're doing that, Yuki looks in his bag and he picks up a package that's wrapped in blue paper, kind of contemplatively. And he puts it down and he looks to Momiji and says, don't beg. He didn't bring Tohru here to annoy her, right? And a teary Momiji thinks he's like 9.
It says ya in the Japanese and 9 in the dub.
Really?
Because I think of the.
Oh, probably depends on how the question is phrased.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Kyo sighs as if everything has been taken care of. Then Momiji is like, let's sleep together, though, tonight. And Yuki and Kyo are like, he doesn't get it. So they all go out to bathe in their separate baths. And Tohru says it's amazing. And it's her first open-air bath. And then she's like, Momiji could probably splash around in here. And then we cut to the guy's bath where, of course, Momiji is fully swimming around in the bath. She pulls out of her bag a picture of her mom that's covered in a Ziploc bag so that she can enjoy the hot spring too. And the hostess comes out to greet her as well, the hostess comes out to join her as well. She asks how the water is, and Tohru says that it's nice. The Okami-san / Meisho-san asks about the photo that Tohru has brought, and Tohru explains that it's a photo of her mother who passed away last year and that she wanted her to enjoy the onsen as well. She says it's lovely. The hostess says it's lovely. And then the hostess goes on to explain that her son is the monkey of the zodiac. So she confirmed that she knows about the zodiac and her son is the monkey. She said that she was nervous when she first heard about Tohru knowing about the secret, and she was worried for the safety of the zodiac, but she apologizes for feeling that way now that she's met Tohru, and she's relieved. She asks when Tohru meet her son to please make friends with him like the others, and Tohru says of course, and she asks what her son is like. The hostess then, there's a beat of silence, but then the hostess apologizes again, saying, from the world's point of view, he's like that, but deep down, he's very kind, and he's my precious baby, and I will apologize to the world. And Tohru is like, sorry, I won't ask any more questions. While she's apologizing still. Momiji's like, sounds like they're having fun too, which is great. So we cut to later that night, and the gang is relaxing in the onsen. Yuki and Kyo are playing ping pong. We hear in the background, and Momiji tells us that Ri-chan is the name of the monkey. He also invites her to play ping pong because Kyo and Yuki won't play with him. And we cut to Kyo and Yuki playing. Kyo has rolled up his sleeves because it's serious business. Kyo hits the ball straight off of the table, and Yuki is like, out. It's like, in the Japanese version, that's all he says. I told you, just one bounce. And Kyo is like, shut up, why would I do something that slows me down? And Yuki is like, well, that's the rules. So Yuki serves again, and then Kyo hits it again with all his might, and of course it bounces out again. Momiji and Yuki chastise him, while Kyo shakes with rage, and Tohru says, good luck, Kyo-kun. And then Kyo, he, picks the table up, and then when he puts it down, it, folds closed. So he didn't, try to flip it this time, but he did something to make it bend. And then he's like, real men fight with fists. And Yuki is like, you're the one who challenged me. Toru's like, why don't you play with me? And Kyo is like, well, I won't go easy on you just because you're a girl. And then, so they square up to play at the table, and Yuki's like, don't forget to let it bounce. And so Kyo's like, shut up, of course. So Kyo serves gently. Tohru sees it coming, and then suddenly this becomes a sports anime, and she swings back and goes, ha, and then she swings way too early and misses. She swings, the ball bounces, it bounces off to the floor and rolls away, and Momiji stares at it, and then Tohru looks at it, it turns back and is like, I missed. And Kyo is like, you suck, and Momiji is like, look who's talking, and then they keep arguing. Yuki stands silently off to the side, and then he awkwardly leaves, and Tohru notices. And so she follows him. Outside, the way that the scene is, the background is for this scene is really pretty. They're outside of the inn, and they meet on this little red bridge over the water. So Tohru finds him out there, and she asks what's wrong, and it turns out that he was cracking up in his Yuki way this whole time, and she's like, Tohru says, you could have laughed in front of me. And he's like, no, I couldn't laugh in front of Kyo. He ends up giving her his White Day present. He says he wanted to give it to her earlier, but the timing wasn't right. And it turns out that it's adorable hair ribbons, and he says that he thought they might suit her. And so she immediately undoes her hair and ties one of the ribbons in her hair. Yuki reaches out and picks up one of the ribbons with his finger and says, does it meet with your approval, princess? And Tohru was like, yes, of course, I'm touched. Then it's truly a great honor, he says. And she blushes as bright as a tomato. It was like full red-faced blush, which was amazing. How is my act? How is my act, he asks. The end. So we transition back inside, and Tohru thinks, we see them playing ping pong again, and Tohru thinks, Mom, there are a lot of princes in the Soma family. Cool, cute, and kind. Cool, focusing on Kyo. Cute, focusing on Momiji, obviously. And kind, focusing on Yuki, which is really charming. I'm really happy that I'm able to spend time with them like this. And then we cut to later that night. We see her and Momiji sleeping. Their futons are side by side. And she thinks, tonight makes me grateful all over again. She closes her eyes as she thinks, thank you. We cut to the next morning where they're being seen off. And the host is leaning on Kyo and she says, I'm sorry that I wasn't a better host. Please come again. And Kyo is like, don't use me as a crutch. The hostess is my favorite. She's so good. Tohru says that she should take care of herself. And then Tohru asks about Momiji. She asks if he'll be going to middle school next year. And he says 9. He and Haru will be starting high school. And they got permission to go to their high school. And Kyo is annoyed in the background. And we focus on Tohru, who's like, like she's processing this information. And Yuki is like, it seems like you didn't know that Momiji is only younger than us, just like Haru. And Tohru imagines both of them and is like, what? I thought he was in elementary school, she says, and now he's coming to our high school with Hatar-san. I can't decide what to be more surprised by. And Momiji's like, be surprised by all of it. And then we start rolling into the background, the end theme in the background. It sounds like school will get even more lively this spring, Tohru says. We cut to Shigure's house where Haru is chilling, and Shigure is like, what do you think of my return gift of a hot pink maid outfit? He says this old man will be thrilled if one day she wears this and calls me master. And Haru was like, try not to get arrested. And then we cut to credits. Was my voice acting as the Okami-san satisfactory? How was my act, as Yuki said?
Wonderful.
I was fine. I feel like I could have been more dead sounding. I mean, I really like the Okami-san. She's really funny.
Yeah.
I was really, as soon as I heard her like hoarse voice, croaking voice from the door, I was like, this is gonna be the best. I guess the difference between this and the first anime is that this was a full episode, right? Because last time we talked about how like half of the second half of last episode of the 2019 anime, it was added, like it wasn't in the original anime. It was in the manga, but not in the original anime. And the Foolish Traveler story was what was cut in. So that was all one episode, and then I'm pretty sure the Hot Spring was all another episode. So these were kind of spread out over more time, I think, in general. But I felt like they hit all the content that needed to be covered.
Yeah.
Especially the ping pong scene.
Yeah.
Which was also amazing.
Yeah.
When she goes,
like she swung like before the ping pong ball was even on screen.
It was,
it was really early.
It was so early. It was so early that she swings, her arm is fully extended, and then it bounces. Like it was really good. Oh, poor Yuki couldn't laugh in front of Kyo. So yeah, I guess we kind of just seamlessly transitioned into discussion. But I was just wondering what you thought about this episode.
Yeah, it was good. They're like my favorite chapters or anything from the original, but
yeah.
It's always good to see more good, accurate adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what they did with the Foolish Traveler story.
Yes.
Like the animation's really nice. I like
nice.
That's something they do a couple of times. They've done a couple of times in the new anime is kind of when they transition into someone like telling a story or something, they kind of change the art style a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know they've done it with Tohru's Umebashi story, and
right.
I think there was at least one other one.
I don't remember.
Storytelling thing I like anyway, and I like how they've done it in the anime so far.
Yeah, it's good. This one was especially nice, I felt.
Yeah. They also, I don't know which pronouns they used in the actual Japanese, but they made the traveler female.
Yeah.
For the anime, which was always referred to as male in the translation.
Yep, that's right. I'm not sure either what the original story was, but I think they purposefully like kind of tied it closer to Tohru, I guess, by making
Yeah.
it female, which was nice.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed, I don't know if it means anything or it's just a thing, but all the demons in the forest are zodiac animals,
Are they really?
or
Ooh.
at least can be linked to them. There's a
Yeah.
wolf, a boar, a bull, a tiger, an owl, a gorilla, and a dragon.
Oh, you're totally right. I'm looking at it right now while you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't notice that.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like noticed the tiger and then noticed the dragon, and I rewound to watch it again, and I was like, oh yeah, those are all
Yeah.
zodiac animals.
Yeah, you're like, those are conspicuously animal-shaped demons. Because I think
Yeah.
in the manga they were just kind of had little horns and stuff. Like they were
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah,
human
they were like,
shaped.
yeah, they're like human shaped with like fur and horns or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're totally right. That's cool.
Mhm.
I like that.
I don't know if it means anything, if it's just an aesthetic choice.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Regardless, I don't know if it means anything, but
Yeah.
yeah, the dragon chomped on her eyes. It says at the end.
Yeah. And I guess you could see it as a metaphor for how the like Yuki and Kyo feel about taking advantage of her. But
Mm-hmm. Well, same with like you could even extend that to people like Hattori who say, you know, he thinks that she's being used for something we've seen in earlier episodes. So that could be the case. Yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I didn't notice that. Awesome. I think the style is exactly as you described it. It's kind of like a mix between like watercolor and paper cut, or like a cut, whatever.
Yeah.
Paper cut cut paper.
Paper cutouts, paper craft, whatever.
Craft. Yeah.
Yoshi's Woolly World. I
mean. Yeah, basically. It's more like Paper Mario, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the newer Yoshi's game, the Crafted World one, has more.
Has paper craft
type things. Yeah.
Cool.
Little tiny change to the credits at the very end when like Yuki wakes up and looks and sees Tohru sitting there and smiles. They added in like a little frame of that like Tohru is sitting like close to his hands, like their hands are there in the grass.
Oh, hold on, I'm looking now. I didn't watch it. Weird. I'm watching it again. That's kind of bizarre. Whoa.
What does it mean?
It's just ship teasy. That's interesting. I wonder if it. I mean, they have that moment at the outside the hot spring that's clearly very like ship teasy.
Yeah.
And also like genuinely nice. I love how Yuki's so oblivious to her. Like, I don't know if he's oblivious to her, but he's like her reaction because she is like whatever, I can't remember what she says, but she like freaks out and then she blushes and he's like, oh, did I do a good job acting? And then they just like cut in. It's kind of like also with the button in his hair at the culture festival. He's like, oh, let's go back to class now, and she's still like freaking out. So I don't know what up with that, but yeah, it's interesting they added that little tease at the end too. But it is kind of weird how they're so far apart and then she's suddenly right next to him.
Yeah.
But it's okay, I don't mind, I'm not mad. That's cool. I did think it was interesting how, yeah, the Foolish Traveler. I mean, like, the main change was the Foolish Traveler, actually, I think. Most of this other stuff is the same. Oh, we have some other things. I mean, we've read the series before, and we talked about this kind of set of stuff before, but for people who are just watching the anime for the first time, they learned about the monkey. We've learned about the monkey of the Zodiac. So we haven't met the monkey, but we met the monkey's mom, so that was cool. And then, of course, we learned something about him, which is like the world views him maybe in a different way, but she wants Tohru to be friends with him when she meets him. So so there's that. So we got a little preview. Oh, and Momiji also made the joke about like there's a joke about pronouncing the hostess's name, like the word for hostess, incorrectly. It was some people were commenting about Momiji's like German accent in the dub. People have probably seen it by now, but Caitlin Glass, who's the director of the dub, published a video about why Momiji has a German accent, kind of explaining that it's part of what the localization team suggested, because like he has all these habits and speech habits that are like indicative of him not being able to speak Japanese very well or like clearly, and this is just one of the puns that's related to that. So he often like pronounces things incorrectly, and this is just one of those, just to explain the joke. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was the Yuki ship teasing, but there was also a lot of Tohru Kyo ship teasing as well. So much so that Momiji comments on it and teases him about it like 2 or 3 times. He's like, you just wanna sleep with Tohru, you wanna be in Tohru's room, and like you got the hots this morning or whatever, and it was really funny. Their relationship is funny. We've talked about it before on this show. And by there, I mean Momiji and Kyo. Like, they have this kind of brotherly relationship, which is cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something I liked in the dub of this episode is they added a lot more, like, blatant teasing on Momiji's part. Like, I said the bath made you grumpy kitty or whatever, but there's something else where he like called him like a cat or kitten or something while teasing him about something.
They also Uo teased him too in this episode. Kyo got teased all around.
Yeah. And then they were like bickering over ping pong at the end.
Yes.
While Tohru was leaving.
Yes. The whole ping pong scene is fantastic. It's so good. It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, I like the thing where he says, like, his, like, German thing was, like, Winshan, Benshan or something.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, that's the worst pronunciation any German person's ever heard. But
sorry.
It seems, from my Googling, it basically seems to me like, if we're going to do it, let's do it, basically.
He's like, put up or shut up.
Basically. But, like, he, like, said that, and Kyo's like, what? And then he's like, it means I'll do it. So, like, they get pretty intense at the end there, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Also liked how Momiji was like, oh, do you want to play with me? Kyo and Yuki won't play with me, because they're like having an all-out battle, which is funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any other things to say. Oh, I guess we did hear that Haru and Momiji are going to be coming to school with them soon, which is really exciting.
Yeah. And they also added a little bit where Kyo's like, I guess I can see why they gave you a pass, but how did Haru get in with his hair?
Yeah.
Kind of a fun comment.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right. So thank you all for listening. I guess, so I don't feel like I don't say this enough, but you can find us at staytogetherpodcast.com. Stay Together Podcast on Tumblr. Wow. Jeez. Stay Together Podcast. What did I say? Stay Together Podcast.com. Stay Together Podcast on Tumblr. Stay Together Pod on Twitter. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, and the Google Play Store. And also on YouTube. You can search for Stay Together Podcast or like probably Fruits Basket Podcast. You can email us directly. You can send carrier pigeons. I don't know. So we'll thank you all for listening. We're going to talk about spoilers, and then we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It would be use it for sending letters, of course.
Yeah.
I was about to say send your carrier knows, and I was like, oh, no one knows what I'm talking about. It's fine. Spoilers. Anyway, yeah, we can talk about spoilers now.
You can't fly anyway.
That's true.
He'd be a useless carrier pigeon.
I bet he would do his best to deliver a message for you, though.
I was going to say, I bet Akito would have him do it anyway, and he's just, like, running with a thing tied to his leg.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, precious. So yeah, spoilers. This I mean, this episode was also really close to like our episode where we talked about the manga. Oh, I should have said it was episode 9. If you got all the way through this and you didn't listen to our other episode and you want to go back and listen to things in more detail, it was episode 9, which I don't even remember what it's called. Oh, it's called Steamy Onsen Heartful Tour. It must be called that. There's no way that it can't be. So do you have anything to say in terms of spoilers?
Yes, one mild comment would be at the end when Momiji telling the Foolish Traveler tale. Mm-hmm. The specific phrasing when he's talking about how like he said like I just want to make her happy for real. Mm-hmm. Kind of made me think of his future feelings for Tohru. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like that one part, the dialogue in that one part was really different. Like that line I think is added.
Yeah, the whole way he
describes
sums up his reaction to the story is a little different, and like that line in specific made me immediately jump to that thought.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now just to find it because I have the notes open actually. Blah, blah, blah. Shigure being a dick. Oh, here we go. So what I have in my notes says, Momiji continues saying that all the other kids laugh. This is after he tells the story. And Momiji says that he closed his eyes and thought about the traveler and how lucky the traveler was. And then Shigure smiles and pats his head. Momiji continues, loss, suffering, it's pointless to think about them. The traveler didn't think about them. It might seem stupid to some people, but it's not stupid to me. I won't trick anyone, even if other people think that that person deserves it. I just want to make them happy. So I think like because they changed this story to being about a girl, and then like the way that it's actually the dialogue is like it's like I would or I will make her happy or something. Like the way that it's
Yeah, he says it in like present tense rather
yeah,
than just being like, I imagine that story. He says like, I just want to make her happy
her
for
happy.
real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so that was interesting. I think you're right. I do think that like foreshadows more his relationship with Tohru, which is cool.
I'm excited to see grown up sexy Momiji in the anime. It's
Well,
gonna be
you're gonna get
funny.
a preview next time, right?
Yeah.
Because they're gonna go to school, so so we'll get a preview of Hot Momiji. Do you think they'll show shirtless Momiji, like shirtless Kyo? Foolish traveler. Oh, you mentioned it briefly. We can talk about the zodiac animals now.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was a good call. I didn't notice that. I was just like, wolf, and then I started writing more notes. But yeah, you're right. All of the animals, all the demons in the forest, they look like the animals of the zodiac. Once you said that, I was like, oh, that's cool because it's kind of interpreting like all the ways that Tohru gives herself to other people,
Hmm.
right? Especially the zodiac, the somas who are possessed by the zodiac.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it also makes the story, the foolish traveler story, more directly like related to Tohru, which is
Hmm.
cool.
I also like how like the animals they chose aren't all like ones we know yet. So
Mm-hmm. And they also like it's like a dragon, not like a seahorse
yeah.
demon or whatever. Although I would have enjoyed that thoroughly.
Yeah.
And now you're right. It was like a monkey. It was like a gorilla, not like a monkey. Kind of like
Yeah, and
not
it was
like a
like an owl
Ritsu.
rather than like a
Bird,
rooster,
rooster,
a sparrow like he's shown in the actual series.
and like kind of a wolf rather than a a
Yeah.
doggo.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it was the tiger that caught my eye, and
yeah.
then I noticed that the other ones kind of fit, and I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. That's really interesting. I like it a lot. The visual style was nice. It was a nice update.
Hmm.
It's just kind of random, and it's not really a spoiler. But Momiji said that a girl in his class had the book, but in the
Hmm.
manga he went to like an all boys school, didn't he?
I think most likely, I don't know if it's ever said directly, but
Oh, I don't have the volume with me, but I think they certainly all look like little boy
hmm.
children when he's telling about
Yeah,
their reaction. Anyway, I don't know. It's also not a big deal. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was
yeah.
cool they made the traveler a girl too.
Hmm. It's a little more on the nose, but it wasn't exactly subtle to begin with. So
I mean, he's like, "What do you think, Yuki and Kyo, about the story that I just
yeah.
told you about the person who we're clearly talking about?" Yeah, this isn't a spoiler, but I love the Okami-san. She's cool. It's
Yeah.
really funny. I wish I could have acted her voice better. It's fine.
Yeah, they made her a lot more like raspy and terrifying in
So good
this
though.
version.
I think it's great, and I love how Toru screamed when she like
Yeah.
opened the door. It was so good.
I guess they have like an immediate spoiler for the next episode with the
Going to school.
mention of Haru's
Hair.
hair.
Yeah, you said that right at the end, and I was like, don't say anything, don't say
Yeah,
anything.
I was just bringing it up as a change, but
Yeah, yeah, it's exciting. That's definitely gonna come back next time. I also loved how they were like, they kept Momiji's line where he's like, "Be surprised by all of it." That was like one of my
yeah.
other favorite lines. And they kept the Kyo flipping the table scene, which was funny. It was so good. That's also not
Mhm.
spoilers. Whatever. Oh, and the one other minor change was that there was like the scene where they're like, "What do you think?" And Kyo and Yuki imagine Tohru. In the manga, it's just her holding like a tray. So I guess maybe she was making the chocolate. Like maybe those are the molds for the chocolate. But I like how they kind of extended it so that they show her like being super happy and like there's like sprinkles in the background and stuff making all of the chocolate. I thought that was really charming. And then one of the spoilers that we called out when we talked about this before was when we talked about, well, I don't know, because we talked about Momiji's perspective on the foolish traveler story about it, how like not focusing on the bad things in life. He also kind of has that perspective, like that's how he kind of empathizes with the foolish traveler.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's really. I mean, it's kind of communicated that way, but I feel like it's really, really more directly tied to Tohru. Like they did specific things to make the story more about Tohru,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Rather than kind of about him. And then the way that he says at the end, like, I want to make her happy, whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. And then Ritsu's coming. That's kind of all. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of spoilers. I thought this was
Yeah.
really nice, and
Yeah. It's a fairly fluffy set of chapters.
I mean, like, there is good yet more character development because
Hmm.
so like there's still all of that. Like Toru's learning more about the family. She learned about Ritsu, and then Yuki not being close with his parents and some other stuff. But yeah, it was pretty fluffy, and so it's exciting. I don't know. It was good. I liked it.
Mhm.
In summary, it was good, and I liked it. In case you didn't hear the 5,000 times I said it before. So if you stuck around, thank you all for listening. I already said where you can find us in all the places. Yeah, next week we'll talk about episode 12, which will hopefully be about them coming to school. That's what I assume is going to happen.
Yeah.
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 Maybe it'll be something random like we joked about before.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I guess the newer Yoshi's game, the Crafted World one, has more
Has paper craft
papercraft type things. Yeah.
Cool. I have not played it.
I haven't either, but it looks really cute.
Well, Wither World was adorable, so.
Yeah.
Off topic. What else is
It kind of made me mad though, because it's harder than I expected it to be. And then after I died a couple times, it's like, have you tried mellow mode? I was like, fuck you.
You're like, I'm solving puzzles, bitch. Like, how can I be dying?
I'll turn it to easy mode when I want.
Yeah.
How would you tell me to?
You're like, why do I get so stressed playing Yoshi's Woolly World?
Yeah.
And then I was like, should I get the amiibo? And I was like, don't do it. It's a trap. It's so cute.
Yeah, I'm excited because there's going to probably be a Banjo-Kazooie amiibo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to buy it.
I've
never actually bought myself an amiibo. I have two that... I have one that came with something and one that I got as a gift.
Yeah, same. I think I have...
I've got Wolflink and then I've got Rivali.
Oh, yeah. I have a Urbosa from the same time, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Jane has Mifa, and I'm kind of jealous. I should trade with her. Like, Mifa's my favorite, but whatever. It's fine. I also watched her use the Mifa amiibo, which is funny because it drops, like, a chest with, like... There's, like... I think you get weapons, but then you can also get... It comes with, like, fish in it. So there's, like, fish fall from the sky, which is really funny. Those Wii U... Or the Zelda amiibos are so weird.
Mifa's, like, up in heaven going, like, I love you. Drop down fish.
Yeah. I love you, she says, throwing a salmon at you. Like, every time I die, I'm like, thanks, Mifa. Like, Mifa died so that I could fall off cliffs accidentally, like an idiot.
Yeah. It's like, Mifa's grace is ready, and you're like, oh, good, I can die again.
Yeah. Like, thanks, Mifa. Anyway, Furuba.
Yeah.
We can start a Breath of the Wild podcast, too, if you want.
Yeah.
We have the power to do whatever we want.
Yes. The power of the internet.
Mm-hmm. I have the power of this. It's like with my microphone and my Google Drive. For our next podcast, we should just make the opening sound of Vuvuzela. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Nobody will listen. They'll be walking down the street. A new episode will come on and just throw their headphones off.
Yeah. Like directly in the trash.
Yeah, basically. I was thinking more like when I turn my headphones on and the volume has been turned up because I can't remember when I was last listening to it. And it's like 7:30 in the morning and I'm on the subway and I'm like, like out loud and pull them off sometimes.
Yeah, it's the worst. I know you don't listen to ASMR videos, but I do. Mm-hmm. And I'll have them like turned up high.
Yes.
To get that sweet ASMR
feel.
And then it'll go to an ad.
And it's like,
it's really fucking loud.
Hey, have you tried Squarespace? And you're like,
Not relaxing.
Too bad those ASMR people want to make money.
They're actually usually pretty good, but it's like if it switches to like the end of the video or to a new video. Yeah. But they're pretty good about not having it in the middle of their videos. But
that's funny.
But that like almost makes it worse. It's like I'm almost asleep because it's the end of this video.
Yeah.
Anyway, fruits basket.
Anyway, yeah.